is up, ladies and gentlemen and ladies? Good evening.
Hi.
It's going to take a little bit of getting used to, of like walking in the space and having people to talk to. That's awesome.
I don't know how you do it on your own, so I'm glad we can be of assistance with that.
It is definitely weird. There's been times when I've just stared into the lens going, okay, I don't know if anybody's out there, but it sure is going to be an exciting day. Me, myself, and I, right? So it matters. But welcome. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the party here at Tampa Talk Live. We are excited to share with you all what's happening here in the greater Tampa Bay area and Sarasota, Bradenton. You got a great episode planned out for you tonight. A lot of local happenings. And if you were fortunate enough to tune in last week, you met these wonderful ladies that are in this room with me today. I've got Miss Marsha Railton, who hails from the Bradenton area. So that's just south of St. Pete. And then we have Miss Stacy Amon, who is up in Dade City and takes care of Pasco County as well. Ladies, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's been one of those days, right? We had lots of conversations already today about wonderful clients like yourself who have reached out to us from YouTube, and it's just been crazy. Even in a 7% world, we are still continuing to get phone calls, text messages, emails, and even DMs on Instagram about relocating or investing here in the Tampa Bay area. So thank you very much. We appreciate you. And I'm excited. We made this commitment to bringing local content during the live. And I think it's super beneficial, not only for those of you who are watching from a different area, like what better way to start to understand the culture and feel and what's happening around you than seeing some local news that you may not be able to have access to, but also for our local viewers who really have been asking for more content that is specific to them. So I feel like this is a win-win, and it gets us kind of in the space where we can serve both audiences, and are grateful for it. So where you're watching from tonight, we would love to know. And as always, do not hesitate to ask questions during the live stream. We do take breaks in the segments and specifically answer those questions. We appreciate you taking the time to do that. And if this is your first time to the channel, my name is Juan Alcala. I am a licensed real estate agent and a team leader here with the True Living Group. And we help people just like you buy, sell, relocate, and invest here in the greater Tampa Bay area. So we're going to get this thing kicked off tonight. We are excited. Again, let us know where you're watching from. Questions, do not hesitate to put those in there. And if you're watching this at a later date, do not hesitate to put a question in the comment on YouTube either, because I do answer those personally. It has been an interesting endeavor listening to comments. As you know, what's the Forrest Gump scene when he said life is like a box of chocolates? That's basically what the comment section is like on basically any social media. So it is no different in our world here either. So we're excited to share these things with you today. And you know, the way that we've got this designed is we're going to have Marsha talk about what's happening in Sarasota at Bradenton area to the south of us. I will handle Pinellas County and a little bit of Tampa, and then Stacy's going to handle what's going on in Pasco County. So really fortunate to have these wonderful ladies on our team. They are incredible real estate professionals. And they have been nothing but a blessing to, again, our business and to our clients. So thank you, ladies, for taking the time out of your Tuesday night and for doing the homework and for doing the hard work of jumping on camera. If those of you who just started watching the channel, you've been following along a little while, Stacy made her live debut last Tuesday, and then she made her official channel vlog debut on Saturday with Wesley Chapel video, which was great. And Marsha has been rocking with us since October. So it's been fun to really kind of dig in a little bit. But ladies, I want to get into some of these topics tonight. So let's dive into what is happening down in Sarasota in Manatee counties. Marsha, talk to us. I know we got some scuttlebutt. Tis the season for road construction. And I don't think that's not exclusive to Tampa or Florida. Yeah, if you're from the north, I'm sure you've been rocking that since the frost has broken. But for us, we have pretty good roads, and we don't necessarily have projects unless things are growing, which have continued to grow. So we are. So what's on deck for us? In terms of the world of highways and challenges.
I-75. It's really interesting. I mean, I did some research on it, but I feel like I'm living in the midst of it because I actually am. I-75 goes right smack dab in the middle of my community. So I live on the Manatee River, and they have decided that we needed more lanes going over the river. So there's 2 bridges currently, and they're adding 2 more. And that comes right into our neighborhood, which is weird to talk about, weird to describe. I'm sure you're wondering what my neighborhood is like, but I'm very fortunate to live where I do. And we're right on the Manatee River. Juan's showing you the map right there. And you can see that I-75 crosses it, and they need more lanes. It's always backed up. So they have decided to add a bridge that's actually going to be the north ramp onto 301 traveling north, and then they're going to have an on-ramp coming off 301 onto I-75, and those will actually be separate bridges that will lead back onto I-75. So it's a 5-year plan or program. It started in 2001. So they came into our neighborhood and changed the way the street flowed going under the overpass. So it's like a major construction area driving in and out of the neighborhood. And there's been many meetings and talks about what the FDOT is going to do or not going to do. Of course, a concern for us is the noise. When they came in and did the pre-construction, they tore down a lot of they tore down walls, they tore down trees, shrubbery, things that secluded us and made it quiet in our neighborhood. Now we're totally exposed to I-75 while they're doing this, with the promise that things will go back to normal after this 5-year plan. Mm-hmm. So in reading about it, it said that this portion of the plan is called the North Corridor Master Plan, and it's actually over 40 miles of interstate, and it's divided into sections. So you can look it up online, and they'll give you updates by section. So like my section reads I-75 from north of State Road 70 to north of US 301. So there's different sections and different sizes that you could, different sizes of areas that you can look up. But the whole intention from the DOT is not only to improve the roadways for traffic, but also for evacuation purposes. We all know if you've lived through a hurricane in Florida, it is a traffic jam trying to get anywhere to get out of the state. And that's why a lot of us just stay put. But if you do decide to leave, it really is a problem. So their intentions going forward are to make that a better experience and a safer one. So in the meantime, we all live through the construction. It's kind of a joke as far as it just goes on forever. It doesn't seem like it's going to end, but their intentions are good, and they're making the roadways better here.
Yep. And that's great perspective, Marcia. And just to give everybody a little bit of context for what's happening here in the area, something to make note of is like where this is in reference to downtown Tampa. So if you're driving south, down 75, you're roughly 45 minutes to 55 minutes from Tampa to this point where they're doing the construction right now. So just for a perspective there, again, showing where you are. Now there's some ways to get around it. You can go up 275 over the Skyway Bridge into St. Pete and take 275 up and reconnect back on 75 back up in Wesley Chapel near where Stacy is. That's one way to avoid that, but they're not closing it down entirely. They're just shutting down a few lanes so they can widen it. Correct me if I'm wrong, Marcia.
Yeah.
Okay.
It does cause pretty much constant traffic jams in the area. I mean, on and off throughout the day, but It's just work that needs to be done. So
Yep. So if you're local there, heads up. I'm sure you've probably already heard some scuttlebutt about it, but it's happening. And for those of you who are considering, the Lakewood Ranch, Parrish, Bradenton, Sarasota areas, this is definitely something you want to be mindful of, because traffic over there can already be pretty tough, and you're going to be in for it here for a minute while they put that together. So great share, Marcia. What else you got for us today?
I wanted to share, as you know, we love boating, and so I thought it'd be fun to start mentioning places we like to boat to for ideas. You don't have to be a boater to go to these places, but it's just fun for us to go by our boat. Mm-hmm. So one of our favorite places to go is Egmont Key. And when doing this research, it hit me that I didn't really know what a key was. Like, there's islands and there's keys. What's the difference between the two? You guys know, perchance?
Do tell, Marcia.
Well, a key, because we have Siesta Key, Longboat Key, and of course the Florida Keys, and I don't know why they're not called islands, but after looking it up, it said that a key is a small low-lying coral island. So over years of a coral reef building, it eventually comes up out of the water and becomes land. So I thought that was very interesting.
So a key used to be a coral reef. Mm-hmm. Fascinating. I was not aware of that. News you can use, folks. News you can
use. So Egmont Key, we like to boat to it, but there's other ways to get there, and I'll tell you about that later. But the reason that it's a cool place to go is there's a lot of historic history on the island. It has a lighthouse that was built there in 1858, and it still stands there. So, for instance, we'll get there, beach, have a picnic, hang out at the boat, but then you can go for a walk, and there's all these trails. There's a red brick road that goes onto the island. It's like 1.5 miles long. And, but besides the lighthouse, in the 19th century, it became a camp for captured Seminoles. And then later it became a Navy base during the Civil War. And then lastly, during the Spanish-American War, it became Fort Dade. And while it was Fort Dade, it was very active up until 1923. And in 1925, the army that was there set a fire to try to rid off rum runners, and they actually burnt the whole island down. So it was a big faux pas for them to do that, but that's what happened. But in its heyday, they had things like, there was 300 residents, they had electricity, they had telephones, hospitals, a jail, bowling alleys, movie theater, all this cool stuff on this island that now is just a deserted island. It's a bird sanctuary and has over 20,000 birds that make their home on it. If you go there, though, make sure you bring shoes, like water shoes, because we went a couple weekends ago, actually, and I didn't bring my shoes on the up on the island, and my feet got scorched. And there's a lot of seashells, and so you're either getting your feet cut or burnt. So I highly recommend that you wear shoes. And there's no stores or water supply there, so make sure you bring water. But if you don't have a boat, you can also get there from Fort DeSoto. There's a ferry that goes, and it's like a 20-minute ride. You ride over on the ferry, and then they stay there for 3 hours. So you can go for a walk, you can have a picnic, just hang out at the beach there. And they also have one that comes from St. Pete Pier. I think they said that was an hour ride, and you stay for 2 hours. It's a little I thought it was a little high, but I probably shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. But on the ferry that takes 20 minutes, it was $40 for adults, $20 for children. And then if you do the one from St. Pete, it's $69 for adults and $49 for children.
Or if Marcia helps you buy a house, you just call her and she'd be happy to take you on that boat.
Yeah, come on our boat with us. That makes it a lot more fun.
That's right. Those are the free boat rides at that point, right?
it's a very popular place for boaters. But you can snorkel there. You'll see a lot of people fishing there. It's a popular fishing area. So there's a lot of reasons to go there. It's not to mention that it's gorgeous, and the beach is nice because you can get out of the boat, and it's, for a long ways, you're only up to like your waist in the water, which is nice. So it's a fun place to go. I recommend it.
And that's something really cool to talk about too. And here's some of the things that Marcia was pointing out, right? You got Egmont Key, the lighthouse here, which you saw in those photos, the battery, Fort Dade. And I love stuff like this. And you mentioned something in regards to how far out it is before you get above your chest or your head. And that is very typical of the Gulf Coast. Like, we've got these ins and outs, but there's all these low-lying areas. There's quite a shelf out there on the Gulf for quite some time. And that's part of the reason what brought me and our family here. If you guys have ever listened to my story, you've heard me talk about how Kate really loved the water, right? And it just made us feel really comfortable with having young kids, that it wasn't as aggressive as the Atlantic Ocean. Don't get me wrong. We still have animals. There was a shark in the water up in Madeira Beach last night or the night before that they found. And y'all, they're there all the time. Just somebody found it, right? So that's not abnormal, but you can see a long way and you can go out a long way and be at your hips. So that's something to take note of. I love that. That's a great point to bring up. And it's just, there's so many great areas like you're seeing on the map there, like to go from Fort DeSoto, which is a gem on its own, to go over to Egmont Key is just beautiful. You got Shell Island over there. There's just so much stuff going on, right, Marcia? And then you can see Anna Maria Island from there, and you just start to recognize how connected these communities are. We talk a lot about like Tampa Bay and Sarasota being separate, and they are in some respects, but they're also, all of our ecosystem is just intertwined. Right. It's all connected. It's all part of one each other. So like, we just love the fact that it feels like your home is way bigger than it actually is, because it's so expansive. And and I say this all the time, the dirty little secret is like Clearwater Beach is the same beach as St. Pete Beach, and St. Pete Beach is the same as Anna Maria Island and Lido Beach. And like they have their subtleties and their differences, make no mistake about it, but they feel very similar, right? It feels like you can kind of interchange them from one to the other. The supporting communities really is where it changes, right? It's like supporting cast, so to speak, right? So great share, Marcia. I love that. What else you got for us?
Oh, I thought it'd be fun to share. Over the weekend, we were talking about how it feels like everybody's left Florida all of a sudden. The snowbirds have been here since November, December, and I think a lot of them have finally left for the summer. So you could really feel the absence of people in the area, like at restaurants and stuff. It was so nice. It was such a break from, a 2-hour wait was more like 20 minutes or half hour. And we love the snowbirds coming here. Yep. But we were talking about all the things they have to do to
Hold
come
on.
here.
I got to stop you for a second. Marcia, what's a snowbird?
Oh, someone that lives in the north but has a home in Florida.
There you go. And they spend they spend the winters where?
Up north. Or no, in Florida. That's hopefully right. In Bradenton or Sarasota.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So a snowbird is someone who comes down south from the north every winter, right? Hence the word snowbird. Yeah. That's where that came from. Dirty little secret. I was trying to be a snowbird. We tried so hard. That was our original plan. To come down here, and we screwed it all up. We thought that we'd be able to get a rental in a couple of weeks, and everybody laughed at us. A seasonal rental, by the way. You can find rentals in a shorter period of time, but not seasonal rentals that are by the beach. That stuff gets sucked up way early in the season or the year prior. And I was an ignorant northerner and had no idea. So we tried to rent a place here and had no luck, and we ended up getting our place and making a purchase here, right? So we got a lease option is what we ended up doing here. But we never left. Once we came, the place sucked us in. I've told this story before, like we came down and we weren't going anywhere. So we sold everything and made the decision. But yes, we tried to be snowbirds as well. Long story short.
Yeah.
So.
It does sound wonderful. I'd love to do that someday as well, but it's hard to leave. And I know people that do it as, snowbirds. Your life here is wonderful, so it's hard to leave. But I'm sure when they're leaving the north, they might feel the same way, although they know snow's around the corner, so they're probably a little more anxious south than to head back north. So anyways, I found this list and I thought it was so cute, some of the advice they gave and thoughts. So I thought I'd share my top 10 for things you need to do if you're packing up your home in Florida and heading back north. One is to remove everything off your lanai or porch. And that's important because you never know what's going to happen while you're away. There could be a hurricane. There's always lots of rain here in the summer. So it's a great thing to just get it all off the porch and safe inside your home. So that was number one on my list. Then one that I thought was interesting is to make sure you dispose of all bottled or canned carbonated drinks because they can explode in your refrigerator. And what would be worse than to drive all the way from the north and get to your home that you're anxious to get to and you have an explosion in your refrigerator or freezer, or worse yet, and I've heard many times that people's refrigerators quit while they're away. And then the food sits until you get back. So it's always a really good idea to either hire a company to check on your place every couple of weeks, or, if you have a neighbor or friend that can come check on it. There's so many things that can go wrong while you're away that it is just worth having someone check on it for you, just in case. That led to another thing. It's to close all your water valves leading to the hot water heater, shut off the washing machine valves, and drain all lines that are leaving the faucets open after water main is shut off. So water is definitely a problem if something happens while you're gone and floods your home. So that was a high one on my list. I thought it was a great idea to let your community know. So in Florida, a lot of the communities have property managers. And if you live in a gated community, you have the security. So it's good to let them know not only that when you're going to be gone, but give them a phone number for someone local. If something happens, they can get in touch with that person. Or you might, if you trust them, you might leave them a key or the code if there's an emergency that someone can get into your home.
That's awesome.
Another one is check your alarm system. Make sure the batteries are up to date and fresh. So that's a big one. So that's not going off while you're gone. And unplug all appliances, including your washer and dryer. And I think I have one more. Change your AC filter and have the HVAC drain line cleaned. That was something we learned when we moved to Florida. Yes, the hard way. I was having a party with like 30 women coming to the house, and all of a sudden I was getting everything set up, and all of a sudden I was like, feels kind of warm in here. And it was the HVAC. No one told us, or if they did, we didn't do it. You have to drain your HVAC.
The condensation line. Yeah.
And if you don't, it gets clogged up and then your AC doesn't work.
And then it's an expensive bill because it only happens on Sunday.
Yes.
Right. That's the way it works, y'all. There's no doubt about that. Marcia, that is great stuff. I love the checklist for snowbirds. That applies to everyone who lives here, right? Like just the last point you gave, like we talk about this with all of our buyers from out of state. Like you have to treat your HVAC, meaning mostly the air conditioner, entirely different here than you do most places because it is working hard, right? Yeah. A lot of the times those things run, 14, 16 hours a day, during the summer, like the peak hours. Yeah. Like most people don't recognize, like in July and August, in the middle of the night, it'll still be 83, 84 degrees.
Yeah.
Right. And it is working hard.
After that situation, even though it was a brand new, we built our home. And so I think we were thinking it's a brand new HVAC. We don't need to have it serviced. But after that, we did. And I recommend that to all my buyers. Like, it is so worth having them come. They come twice a year. They check everything over. They, it's I think like $150 or $200, and then you're ahead of the game because you don't want to go without air conditioning here.
You can't. I would melt. I can't. There's no way. We're going to hotels or we're leaving the state. It's very, it's very simple. It's not happening.
Yeah.
My wife runs on hot. It's not going down that way. It just not, it's
Yeah.
not allowed. So let's get to some of the viewers today. Eddie says hello from New York. What's up, Eddie? Thanks for watching. Candace is watching from Philadelphia. Candace, shout out to you. We've got a few thousand miles away here, at least a couple. We got Fanny from Arizona. That is fantastic. Angela from Maryland. Shout out to Maryland as well. Tampa's in the house. That's awesome. Love that. Just moved here. Listen and learn. Thanks for this. Had no idea. You are welcome. Eric Teixeira says thoughts on Soho area of Tampa. Moving here in September. Soho is awesome. South Tampa it's fantastic. It's a hidden gem, so to say the least. People who know. I will say this: South Tampa is not for the faint of heart, or the light of wallet is probably the better term to say there. There you can find some places. Look, when you're looking in South Tampa, if something looks like it's too good to be had, trust me, it is. All right, because it's definitely not an inexpensive place to live, but beautiful area just north of MacDill Air Force Base. And speaking of MacDill, we got for Love and Country. So we started transitioning our company from New York to Tampa in January. That's awesome. I've been staying in a motor coach at MacDill Air Force Base since I'm in the military. Thank you for your service, first and foremost. We definitely got to say that. Opening a retail store within the MacDill this summer. That's awesome, man. We'd love to know the store name so we can give a shout out. Happy to do that. They are huge boaters, he says, and looking to purchase in August or September. So many fantastic communities within Tampa. It's hard to choose. Absolutely. Reach out to us. Let us know. Like I said, Marcia's a boater. She's a big fan. Her and her husband, they love to crank it out. We've been invited many times and still haven't been able to make it, but definitely you're in good company when it comes to that. We've got Kevin in Lakeland. What's up, Kevin? Kevin emails me after shows, and I appreciate that. So thank you, Kevin. Thank you for being a great listener. I'm sorry, a great viewer. We appreciate you. Jonathan says hello from Boston. Moving in 3 weeks to Tampa. Why are the eyes covered? Are you afraid? What's happening? Not quite sure, but I think that's what's going on. You are welcome. What is your name? Can you, if you don't mind sharing, I'd actually love to know your name. She said, good luck, Jonathan, as well. And she's going to get her AC serviced, which is fantastic. So shout out to that. And yeah, y'all, if you are watching and you have not subscribed to the channel, if you get any value out of this, we would appreciate that hitting the like button first and foremost, and that subscription. If you hit the subscribe button, you don't have to go tracking us down. We just come right to your YouTube channel every single week. It's super simple, right? So love to do that. There you go. Store is called Love and Country, an American-made apparel company. Dope. If you got a website, put in the link. I will support you. All right, I'll check it out, and then I'll put you guys up next Tuesday. So I'd love to feature you. We're all about our servicemen and women, and we definitely are excited to share. One last one from John. Thanks. Kind of nervous for the change, but definitely excited as well. Got it. Awesome. Well, cool, Jonathan. Thanks for sharing that you're moving down. We're excited for you. Stacy, good evening.
Good evening.
What's happening up in Pasco County besides everybody's moving there?
All things new in Pasco County. Let me tell you.
Yep.
There's 2 new neighborhoods that just opened up.
Well, that's weird. Only 2?
That hasn't happened in a while.
So yeah, since this morning.
Yeah. Big news. The Sanctuary Ridge is a KB Homes builder, and they just opened up, and they're one of the few builders that are actually letting you pick your home site, and you get to go to the design studio and kind of pick some of your interior colors for the price range. That price range is like $350 to $500.
Wow.
Yeah, so a lot of builders in that price range aren't letting you do that anymore.
Hold on. Is that the list price, or is that the actual price? Because there's a difference.
That's right. That's the base price, because you're picking your home site and you're going in and picking your design. So of course, you know, you're going to get upgrade after upgrade.
Yeah.
You know how it goes.
Well, I love that. Right here, I'm seeing it says there are no CDD fees right out of the rip. So like that's a huge bonus. And for those of you that are unaware, CDD stands for Community Development District. Think of it as a giant HOA. It's more of a corporation. It would be like the holdings company, the parent company, and HOAs kind of report back to that CDD. That's not the official version of it. That's just the best way for me to explain it for people to kind of wrap their mind around. So that's nice to know there's no CD. So the fees and your taxes will be lower as well.
Yeah, and there's another new neighborhood that opened up in the Mirada, which is a little farther north of Wesley Chapel in San Antonio, and it's the Homes by West Bay. They're a little higher price point, starting out at your higher 600s, and I'm sure it goes into the million plus. But
oh yes,
that's another great neighborhood. I would like to go check them out this week, actually, because I drove by there the other day and saw they had their model open. So I've been waiting for that.
So for those of the audience who don't know what Mirada is, do you mind elaborating? I'm pulling it up right now, so bear with me.
Yeah, so Mirada is just kind of like Epperson, but bigger. It has a 15-acre man-made lagoon. So they're bringing the beach to your backyard.
One more time. How big?
15 acres.
15. So Epperson, for those of you who've seen the Wesley Chapel videos, the Epperson Lagoon is 7.5 acres. That is not a small pool. All right. Mm-hmm. This is 15 acres. It is twice the size. And they're only about 8 miles apart.
Yeah, 8
they're
miles.
Not that far. But wow. Yep. Unbelievable.
Yeah. And that lagoon just opened in April. So that is brand spanking new.
Yes, this is like that. This is unique because in Epperson and in South Shore Bay, they don't have those water slide features. They have the blow up slides, but they don't have those water slide features that you guys just saw. The Bark Park, love a Bark Park. Most of our communities here, y'all, for those of you who don't know, most of the communities here have these Bark Parks. So they have the tot lot and the Bark Park, right? So you got something for the dogs and the kids. Pickleball out there too, right, Stacey?
Yep.
Tennis, y'all, they're trying to make it so you never have to leave. And Metro Places is the company that builds these lagoons, and their motto is bringing the beach to your backyard. And you need to, because from Mirada to downtown Tampa, we're talking 55 minutes on a good day. From tip to tail. It could be a little bit longer with traffic. It just really depends on what's going on there. And you're going to be a good hour and 20 minutes away from Clearwater Beach. So it's not right around the corner. So they need to bring your beach to the backyard. But this is a great community. And the builder, Homes by West Bay, we were talking about this morning, right, ladies? Like Marcia sold a few homes from West Bay. I have as well. And I got to tell you guys, in that price point, I think you get some of the best value I see for your money in those price ranges, which would, essentially are from right around 650 to like 1.1. Right. And there's other good builders there too, right? Biscayne's another great builder. In that category, you've got Taylor Morrison and David Weekley also, correct, Stacey?
Not at the Mirada, no.
No, but in that price point.
Yeah, but in that area. Yeah.
Yep. Right now, who's in Mirada? Is it Lennar, West Bay?
Yeah, Lennar is actually just opening up. They did their adult community. And so we've been waiting for the single family section to open up. And they're releasing lots actually tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, so that's exciting. And yeah, they have, and then D.R. Horton's coming over there too at some point. They haven't announced when they're opening that phase, but Biscayne is open and Homes by West Bay.
Yep. Yeah, we went in this Osprey that you guys are looking at right now. Beautiful model, courtyard model, which is great. When you walk in that front door, there's literally a courtyard there, and your pool is there. And then there's another door inside of that courtyard where you walk inside of the house, and the whole side of the home is basically sliding glass. So it's incredible.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Definitely something to check out. Cool. What else is going?
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to point out about the Murata is you are a little farther north, but you are right there off the interstate. So you have easy access to I-75, which makes it nice.
I'll pull it up on the map right now, y'all, so you can
Yeah.
get a handle on that too. I should have did that there. Because Murata is, it's definitely to the north, but the amenities make it, it's incredible. They're doing a wonderful job up there. So just for perspective on location, I know it zoomed in quick. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit so y'all can get frame of reference here, but you can see how far it is north. So due west, if you were to head to the coast, you've got Hudson over there, heading this direction. Port Richey, Newport Richey area. What you can see, Wesley Chapel's just to the south right here. And then you're right off the highway. That is the one advantage. You have direct access to 75. They've designed it on purpose that way. And then that'll take you right into downtown Tampa if needed. There's not there's a lot of things happening in the area here. We talked last week about Moffitt Cancer Center and Angeline building their research center up there. And there's a bunch of other stuff happening up there in the medical. So this seems to be what is spurring a lot of the growth. Is there's a huge growth in the medical industry up north, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's great. Great chair.
Yep. And then of course we got new retail and new restaurants opening up. Harley Davidson just opened up a dealership in Wesley Chapel, out by the Outlet Mall. It's a 2-story dealership, has a huge service area, has motorcycle clothes. I'm not a motorcycle person, but I guess there's special clothes for that. Yeah. And they also have learn to ride classes. So do you have to have like a special license to drive a motorcycle?
Well, when you the Harley Davidson dealerships where we were from, that's where you would actually go through the courses and get your training, so you could go get your cycle license. Yeah, it was a permit in Michigan. They call it different things in other places, but yeah, they have a really good training, which is wonderful. So if anyone is considering learning how to ride a motorcycle on the road, because it is an entirely different responsibility, and it's an entirely different thing. For those of you who ride, I would definitely check out what they're offering there, because it's worth it. I think it was a 2 or 3 day class last time we looked at it. So you really get involved, and they provide a bike and you'll learn how to ride. They will literally teach everyone how to ride, and you'll be able to go get a permit after that.
Who knew?
Right. Pretty cool.
I didn't know. Yeah. All right. And then there's a new restaurant opened up called Shuckin' Shack. It's a casual oyster bar. It's
nice.
Up this summer.
Yep.
There's a chicken salad chick opening up in July.
I love their chicken salads.
Chick salad chick.
I haven't been there. So
chicken salad chick or
so
chick
good.
Salad?
They have a variety of probably 15 different kinds. Like you can get it with jalapeno in it. You can get it with like craters and nuts. There's many different options.
Anyone hungry?
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm going to have to go check that out, Marsha.
That's fantastic.
And then there's a Cooper's Hawk Winery and Restaurant that's supposed to be opening at the end of the year.
Okay.
And that's going to be over by the shops at Wiregrass.
Mm-hmm.
And then
just sold, by the way.
Do what?
They just sold this past week, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
The shops at Wiregrass. Yeah, they sold to a new owner. I think this is the second time they sold in the last 3 years, but I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what they do with that. But anyways, I'm so excited. There is an extra large Target coming to Wesley Chapel.
Where are they going to put that?
Over at the Grove.
Oh.
And who knew there was an extra large Target?
Well,
I had no idea that was a thing.
There is space
it's going to
there.
be 15% larger than your average Target. And there's going to be an Apple store inside the Target.
Wow. Inside. Let's do that. That is fancy. I definitely dig that. And for those of you who are wondering where the Grove is, so this is Crate. And we just did their Wesley Chapel video this weekend. You can see the Grove, you can see Crate there. And Crate is essentially in Grove's parking lot, right? Just off of I-75. So if you're looking at the map here, this is the highway. So this is I-75. Murata's to the north up here, if you were looking at the map. San Antonio's that way, and then Tampa is south this way, for those of you who just wanted some reference here. And then over in this area, this is the Grove. That's where their parking lot is. And they got mini golf over there, all kinds of stuff. And yeah, there's plenty of room. I could see how they're putting over there. And that makes sense, right? You've got plenty of stuff to the south with premium outlets to the south. You've got the Costco, you've got Target down there. I mean, with over, what is there, 80,000 residents already? It wouldn't be a surprise. They could put a Costco to the north near Murata and get away with it. It won't happen anytime soon. They're pretty diligent about how they go about that. But, that's cool to see that there's more stuff coming up there.
Yep, so that's fun. And then the Crate is celebrating their 1-year anniversary. And they're having all kinds of events for the month of June. And they're going to kick it off on June 1st with a Latin night with the DJ Mickey.
Okay. we don't know Mickey, but shout out to Mickey.
I'm assuming it's not, the Mickey over at Orlando.
That's cool.
But, and then on June 2nd, they have the Market Eileen, which they do have that like every month. I think it's the first Friday of every month. So it's an evening market for small businesses to come set up shop. And then on June 3rd, they're having coffee in the morning. They're having coffee and cars. So it's like a luxury car show.
Yep.
And let's see what else. Oh, and they're having an event for the kids, Allie, Marie, and Family Fun. So they're going to have bounce houses and face painting and balloons. And then a band called Unique Full Circle. I'm going to have to go because I've never heard of it.
I'm telling you that what they did is really cool. I mean, I don't think that we give them enough credit. Like to take so for those of you who are looking at this and you've never seen it before, there's 94 shipping containers, or 93. Forgive me, I might be misquoting here. Stacy, do you remember?
I think it was 94.
94 shipping containers in here. And they've got 1, 2, 3 sections on the south end, and then 1, 2 sections and extra parking in the middle. And if you can see here at the top, you've got a stage where they do the concerts. There's a tot lot, and that's a kids playground for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about. And then there's some extra chairs and tables over here, and they're just doing all kinds of family fun events. And then you have, all kinds of shopping and food at your fingertips. And right here, for anybody who wants to know, anybody who wants to be my friend, this is the Bacon Boss at this corner right here. Not that I would know, but if I knew, because I'm a fat kid and I love bacon, the Bacon Boss might be right here. Okay. And that is adjacent to the Chicken Boss, which is so for anybody wondering, yes, Juan has lingered into the Bacon Boss because
what is the Bacon Boss? A restaurant?
They put bacon on everything.
Oh, so everything's delicious. In other words,
everything's delicious. Who doesn't like bacon? That's awesome. I love that. Awesome, Stace. Anything else?
Nope. That's really all I got.
I love it. Stacy comes to the best. She's like, Marcia talked about food. Stacy's talking about food. Now we're all starving. Everybody's got to go eat, right? Like, I love that. But it's cool. I love seeing this stuff, right? Because like we're always trying to figure out, this conversation we want to have with you, the audience, is like the same conversation we want to have with our families at the kitchen table. Like, what's happening in our community? What are they bringing that we know is going to add or provide value to us and our families, or how we live our lives on a daily basis? So like we're grateful that you ladies are taking time out of your day to share this with us and the audience. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I enjoy it. I love learning about the different areas too. I mean, like you said, there's so much to do in our area. You sometimes tend to stay right in the area you're at, and then you miss out on all these other experiences. So if you hear about it ahead of time, or someone is telling us, like Stacy filling us in on Wesley Chapel, I know you fill us in on St. Pete, we can jump in the car and use that I-75, put it to good use, get to each place and enjoy it.
Yep.
I love
Put
that.
it on the calendar. Let's do it.
And get playing at Crate.
Yeah.
That we'll have to plan it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get into some more comments. And for those of you watching, y'all, do not hesitate. You got questions, put them in there. We love to answer the questions. Eric Teixeira says, Soho may be pricey, but definitely still cheaper than Connecticut. You are not wrong on that, sir. Trust me, I know. There's no doubt about that. Elijah Anderson says, Parish Bradenton area, is it possible to get a house with at least 2K lots or of more? I'm not sure what he's asking there. A lot of what Redfin shows me doesn't have a big backyard. Oh, are you talking about the lot size in particular, Elijah? Just so I'm clear. Do you think that's what he's asking, lady?
I'm not sure either.
A 2K backyard actually seems kind of small, but I could be wrong. Our standard lot here is like 8 to 12,000 square feet, roughly. So share that a little bit more. If you elaborate on that, Elijah, that'd be wonderful. Love and Country says, our son plays lacrosse at St. Leo University, right down the road from Murata. That's you are trucking along, man. If you're going from McGill to Murata, and watching this development for over a year, it's huge. It is. It's massive. It's very unique. There's no doubt about that. Cheryl McMillan says, good evening. Good evening, Cheryl. Happy to see you as well. And Elijah said, yes. Okay. Yeah. So lot size in the backyard is, obviously it's going to be specific to the development. But that should be pretty common. 2K for a backyard is sounds about right. Somewhere between 2 and 4,000 square feet on average. So we'll dig into that. Google Maps is great for that. You can do, if you use the satellite feature, you can measure. So I think it's, pretty cool to check out. MP Trooper says, I just purchased in Dade City. My man is to the north. Love that. And that's where Stacy is. So you're in good company up there. Cheryl says, are there any more opportunities in South Shore Bay development? Yeah, there still are. I was actually just checking on this week for another client. Depends on what you're looking for specifically, but I did see single family homes down there, and I'm not sure about condos and townhouses. I'd have to check if that's what you're looking for specifically, Cheryl. So feel free to reach out to us too, by the way. All of our contact information is below in the description on YouTube. Don't hesitate to reach out. You can even DM me on Instagram if that's what is easiest for you. So appreciate that. And I want to get a little bit into a couple other really cool things that I think are happening here in the area. One of them of note, I think, is really awesome. And let me pull this up real quick, is that looks like the governor just signed a bill that is going to give Floridians $1.3 billion of their hard-earned money. Well, it's going to allow it to stay in our pockets. Let me rephrase the give, because the government didn't give me my money. They take my money, typically is how it works. But if I get to keep my money, I'm very excited about it. So they just signed, legislation passed this, I think, on like May 5th, and DeSantis signed it on Saturday. And this is a pretty cool package, how they have it set up. There's 2 sales tax holidays that are going into effect almost immediately. I believe, oh, one second here, y'all. Get the highlighter feature up so y'all can see it. The one of them, let me find it here. Yeah, passed on May 5th. And I'm looking for it here. Oh, the Freedom Summer. So this is really cool. If I can track this down really quick, this is awesome. There's 2 of them. So there is a disaster relief program that gives us a tax break immediately. Right here it is. So the disaster preparedness holiday is what it's called. And this is going to give us tax breaks on a lot of like things that we have for hurricanes and storm season. So things like generators, first aid kits, batteries, flashlights, pet supplies were on that list. Baby supplies were on that list, which I thought was really, really cool. So think most of the things that you would grab for your hurricane kit. And if you're new to this channel, I did an entire video on that. You can go check that on the channel. We talk about the hurricane kit and what you should have. There's a website in Florida here that really helps you dial that into. And the government's really good about making sure that you know all the things that you should have: generators, flashlights, batteries, first aids, all the normal things you would think of when you might be prolonged. But to have a tax break on that, you know, depending on where you live in the state, taxes can vary, sales tax. Tampa has a little bit higher sales tax than Pasco County and Pinellas County. So you go around there, but roughly we're at 7%-ish. So you can definitely save some money. Cell phones was on that list, which makes me want to go return my phones. Kate and I just bought phones last week, and the phones were quote unquote free, which we all know is not true. But guess what was not free? The $400 in taxes we had to pay on the phones.
Hey, I'm getting my new phone tomorrow then.
Shout out to this. So this is, yeah, dude. So this is awesome. And it lasts through June 9th. So make sure you bring that up. And I don't know if it's a rebate. I'm pretty sure it's instant savings. So make sure you check on that, Stacy. I think it's awesome to know. And the other thing is this Freedom Summer. Now, this list was super extensive. And if I can track it down, tax, with me, y'all. Tax holiday. For 2023. So this list was crazy, and I found it on the Florida Department of Revenue, and it was so extensive. And I'm going to pull it up and share it with y'all real quick because there's a lot of really cool things on here. And as a resident of the state, I'm blown away because I'm looking at this going like, how in the world did they make this work? With all the items on this. And I just want to share this with y'all. Now there's some stars, some asterisks, and some caveats to all this stuff. I'm not your CPA. Okay. So go to the Department of Revenue, the Florida Department of Revenue. And there's this huge PDF over here, but check out the items on here. So a list of items that are exempt from tax during the sales tax holiday as provided in the tax information publication right here. Okay. So live music events, live sporting events, movies, museum entries, state park entries, ballets, plays, musical theater performance, fairs, festivals, cultural events, boating and water activities, canoes and kayaks, paddleboards, surfboards, water skis, wakeboards, kneeboards, life jackets, coolers, paddles, oars, safety flares, pool floats, inflatable chairs, pool toys, snorkels, goggles, swimming masks. And I don't need to read this whole list. Obviously, it's extensive, right? But another thing that I thought was really cool on here to take note of was the children's athletic equipment. Being a parent of kids that play sports, we all know that stuff can get very expensive very fast. And children's toys, also something very cool. So, again, another advantage, if you didn't know, we don't have a state income tax here in the state of Florida. So that is also an advantage. And now you get a sales tax holiday on some pretty significant things, or could be some pretty significant purchases here in the state of Florida. So I think that's pretty cool, ladies. What do you think?
Very cool.
Super cool. Do they tell is it a certain day, or is it, how do they do it?
I didn't get into all the specifics because there's some subtleties for each program.
Oh, okay.
So the disaster one is through the 9th of June. So you got to make those purchases pretty quick. And that makes sense. They're trying to incentivize you to be prepared, right?
Yeah.
And the other one looks like it's for the summer. So get in there, do your homework, Florida Department of Revenue. All the details are there, y'all. So you can kind of dig into that. I just put my IG down below. So you have access to that. For those of you asking, I thought that was something really cool that was happening there. Another note worth digging into, because we're always talking about all the negative wrapped around insurance in the state of Florida, and for good reason, just so everybody knows, because Florida, if you haven't heard, getting insurance in the state of Florida has been very, very challenging. And the state insurer is Citizens. And basically, they were like the last people to take new insurance policies on. They were the last ones to accept insurance policies of roofs that were older than 10 years old. Citizens started to become the go-to as other insurers either went insolvent, bankrupt, or just left the state because they couldn't operate in the environment post Ian. And obviously hurricanes are a challenge, right? But the regulators approved a $1.25 billion line of credit for Citizens, which is great. And borrowing money is not a good thing, but this is there if they need it. And I think that is wonderful because they have a line of credit from both Wells Fargo and from Bank of America is what it's saying here. And that will give them the ability to access capital when and if that is needed this hurricane season. Okay. Because the one thing we do know is that payment can take some time, right, ladies, to get paid out on your insurance claims. There are people still waiting on Ian. Now, that's not from Citizens necessarily. And I haven't heard any of that from Citizens, but other insurers. So Citizens is the state insurer. From what we are aware of, they've been doing a good job, and I like the fact that they're being proactive, right? And if you go back to Hurricane Ian last year, the one thing I will say, it doesn't matter what politics aside, our infrastructure and the people who support this. I mean, you've got electricians, that come from all over the country when something like this happens, right? To help support the entire community. And I'll tell you what, the road clears when people see the electricians coming down the road and those trucks. They respect them almost as much as they do firefighters and police officers and our law enforcement. I mean, they probably do, to be honest. I've never seen anything like it. And I'm from the north, so that makes sense. We're not used to seeing that type of activity. But it's like, those guys pack up and it's like everybody just salutes them and they're so grateful to see them and they come and restore power. And, we're grateful for it. But like they put that bridge up to Sanibel Island last year in like 3 days.
Yeah,
right?
that was amazing.
It was nuts. And the other one went up in like 2 weeks, which is crazy when you think about that. It was wiped off the face of the planet. So to see that type of activity, I'm proud of our state and their disaster response. It doesn't look, you can't be everywhere all the time, but man, when Floridians pull together, it's definitely a unique thing to watch, and it's pretty powerful to see. So I love that. So it's something to take note of because again, it's been all negative news all the time. I mean, I feel like that insurance conversations have literally been CNN, right? The constant negative news, but to see that and them being proactive, that's great. Because most of the time it's always, we find out after companies failed that they weren't doing the right things. Right.
Yeah.
And to see that they're being proactive about it, I think is wonderful. And sorry to go tangent on insurance, y'all, but it matters. If you live in Florida, insurance matters a ton right now. Okay. Because it is definitely, it is definitely difficult to navigate that territory, especially if you're in a floodplain or, areas that are more coastal. You can definitely have some challenges on that. So something to be mindful of when we're looking at it. But let's talk a little bit about what's going on in real estate, because we did dig into this morning. We have our team meetings every Tuesday, and we talk about all of our wonderful clients that reach out to us from YouTube and our local clients as well. But we've really been getting into some of these numbers. And the reason I wanted to dig deeper here is because I'm still getting these phone calls from people all over the country, and they're like, yeah, we see real estate's going down. And real estate is very local, right? It's hyper local to be specific, but I'll tell you this, it's not going down in Tampa. And has it stopped growing as fast? Yes. Thank the Lord. Right. No one can keep up with what was happening over the last 2.5 years. It's insane. And I'll be the first one to say it. It's not good for anyone to have growth at those curves, right? No, if you take a step back in history, whenever anything grows at that rapid a pace, it usually doesn't end well, right? So it's nice to see, tapering off and things finally starting to normalize, because listen, y'all, in a normal real estate market, 2 to 3% annualized growth is healthy. That's a good performing portfolio in terms of real estate. So we're kind of tracking in on some normalcy, which I think is wonderful, but we are still up here in Tampa, and it's very specific. There are areas that aren't performing as well as others. There are some that I guess you would say underperform year over year, but when you look deeper in their numbers, you'll find that their condos or townhouses are selling absorbently, while their single families are kind of flat, or vice versa. And we're seeing a lot of that in the local real estate here. And I'm going to pull up Redfin and share this with you guys live. And the reason I always use Redfin is because it's a public resource. that you all have access to that I think is super important in the interest of transparency, right? Like I don't ever want anybody to assume that I'm fudging numbers or moving things around. We just don't operate that way. But I love pointing you guys to a resource that you have access to. So Redfin, for me, I think they do a really good job of keeping track of what's going on nationally and locally. They've got a really good website where you can dig in. And I'm going to share that with y'all right now. So I'm going to take you over to what's happening here in Tampa. So at the time, well, let's take one step back, actually. Let's see what's happening in the United States so everybody can kind of wrap their mind around on that. So in the United States, and it's really like a country divided. I just want to share this perspective because west of the Mississippi, most of the states are down. And a lot of them are down double digits in their real estate values. Okay. They're down in sales and in values. And then east of the Mississippi, a lot of the country is up. And again, it's hyper local. You have to really dig in and look at your numbers. But I want to share this with y'all so you guys can wrap your mind around what's happening here. So the median sales price in the United States for all home type is 407. Let's just talk about single family homes. They have it at 407 still. So they're saying that the United States is down 4.1% year over year. Okay. Now what that means is last year in April, because that's when these numbers were last posted. You can see April of 23 right here versus 2023. So that's what's going on there. So all home types, it didn't switch. So I'm guessing they're the same. And as we come down a little bit, I want to show you some things, what's happening here. So the top 10 metros in the U.S. with the fastest sales price. A ton of these are in Florida, FYI. You've got, and some of the biggest numbers are. So Fort Lauderdale is up 15.7%. That's insane, by the way. Still insane. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina is growing like crazy. Fayetteville, North Carolina. Hollywood, Florida, which is to the north of Fort Lauderdale, that is 12.2%. Boca, 12%. So that's southeast Florida, almost in South Central to the north end. It's still South Florida, is up over there. And as you come across to the other side, we've got Clearwater, who is up 9.8%, as you can see here. And then Lehigh Acres, which is to the south of us, that is up 7.9% as well. So you definitely still have a lot of growth here in Florida. It's still cranking down. If we go into areas like Tampa, specifically, y'all will see this. We are up 2.5% year over year on all home types. And then if we go to single family houses, it's up 3%. And we're tracking in on that June peak of last year. You can see it. Here was the peak from 2022, and then prices started to fall last year as interest rates started to rise. That was the catalyst here. And then they really dropped off, December being the trough. And then we had a bump in January, and now we've been trending up every month. And you're most likely going to see that again here when the May numbers come out next month, because we're still tracking in that direction for single family homes, which is great. Okay. Now let's get around the area here a little bit. So Stacy was talking about Wesley Chapel. So let's get into Wesley Chapel numbers, see what's happening up there. Now here's where the things can get really deceiving. Wesley Chapel is showing down 2.7%, but they're building like crazy and houses are being bought and sold out there every day. So I like to get a little bit more granular on this. So if we go single family houses, which is what most of our clients purchase, we sell condos and townhouses as well, but this is just the normal. 80% of purchases are single family homes, more than 80%. So if you look at it, 7.4%. So if you're just looking at the numbers, you're going to say, well, Wesley Chapel's down. And then if you're trying to buy a single family home, you're competing against up almost 7.5%. And again, the trend line is up, as you can see there. So this is something to be mindful of when you're looking through these markets. You have to really look with a professional set of eyes, or at least know what questions to ask. It's like everybody's playing with Chat GTP right now. And it's the same thing there, right? So if we look at areas like St. Petersburg, which has just absolutely been on a tear, St. Petersburg is up 5.2%, all housing types. So now if we get into the numbers here, they're essentially flat on the single family homes at 425,000. But if you get into the other numbers, townhouses are down almost a half a point, and then condos are up 28.5%. I'm going to let that sink in for a minute.
Lots of condos.
28.5. Look at this, a hockey stick action here. So in a world where people are telling you that real estate's upside down and the market's crashing, St. Petersburg is tearing behind with condos. So definitely something to be mindful of. And if we head south to Sarasota, down the area where Marcia is, we'll get a little bit deeper here. Sarasota's up 0.9 of a point year over year. Let's get into specifics. They're down almost 3% in single family, and they trended down just last month. So we'll see if it pops back up here in May, because typically May, June is the peak of the selling season, and you can see it here, right? It's not anecdotal. This, if I take you back all 5 years and we do these trend lines, March, and then, well, this is COVID, so it doesn't count. You'll start to see those trend lines and how they shake out. So townhouses down 35%. That's fascinating to me, but there wasn't a whole lot of sales data here. So 7, that's not enough for me to wrap my mind around anything consequential. And then when we get into condos, same thing here, Marcia. We're up 23% in condos. So St. Pete and Sarasota really have a lot of growth happening with condos. So something to take note of. And we can get way deeper on this stuff. I don't need to nerd out for 5 hours on the subject, but I like to share this with everyone so they can just kind of wrap their mind around what's happening here in the local market, because it's completely local. You know what I mean? If we take you out to area like Ruskin's, they're not performing nearly as well as Clearwater is. Okay. So something to just keep in mind about what's happening here in the local market. And if y'all are interested, or you're considering whether you're thinking of moving in 3 days, 3 months, or 3 years, don't hesitate to reach out to me and the team here. Okay. So our contact information is listed down below. There's even a link to my calendar where you can schedule a time. We'll jump on Zoom. I'll walk you through the city. Typically one of the gals is with me. Both of them are incredible real estate agents. And we really just love to answer questions about how to make this dream for you a reality, or if you're local, how to help you either buy or sell as well. So we're here. And again, if you've gotten any value from today, don't hesitate to hit that like button, and please subscribe. It helps out the channel. And more importantly, you won't have to go searching for it. So I love that. Let's get to some final comments here before we shut down. If you have any last questions, y'all, please don't hesitate to put those in the comments. We'd be happy to answer those questions. And also, what videos do you want to see? Right? I've been asking that question, and I'm getting specific cities, which I love. A lot of them we've done, but some of them can definitely use a refresh, and I don't have a problem doing it. So I would love to know what cities you would like featured in the greater Tampa Bay and Sarasota areas, because we would love to get on those. David says, hi, Anita Floridian from Fort Myers here. What's up, David? Good to see you, my man. David said 400K homes are worth every penny in Florida. I agree. I got to tell you, the quality of construction we have in this state is significantly better than what I was used to seeing in the north. And I do need to frame that. Foundationally speaking, I think is probably the correct way. I will say that some finished carpentry work and some other things I think were better, but that could just be me being biased. So, and I'm not a contractor by trade, so take that with a giant Himalayan grain of salt. But here's what I will say. My home up north was not built by brick. So the huffing and puffing and blowing it down, I mean, these things are bomb shelters here, y'all. They are literal bomb shelters. It is crazy. Something to take note of is we do have builders that build block homes. So they're on a slab. We don't have basements here in Florida, for those of you who aren't aware, because our foundation is sand. So it's hard to do. And it erodes pretty typically. So you don't go that direction. But the first story is required to be block. And construction standards, and those things are rated very highly for wind. So that's wonderful news, right? But what you don't always see is builders making that second story all block, and that is something to take note of. So if you're considering building a new home, it's a good question to ask builders, because obviously it's cheaper to do stick built on the second story. But I will say I do have a line of questioning about, like, why aren't we going all block all the way up? Because there are builders that do that. And there's builders that do that in the value price point as well. I think D.R. Horton is one of them, where their second story is all block, and that's not typical. So it's something to take note of, right? Because if you've got a first story that is all block and you're close to the water, and your home can pretty much stand up to a pretty strong beating. But think about it. If that second story is made of sticks, it's not as strong, right? Now, if you are a contractor in the state of Florida or an engineer and you can prove to me that I am wrong, please put that in the comments. My goal is not to be right all the time. Okay. If I'm speaking out of my behind, please let me know. But I'm telling you right now, I'm going to buy a house that's built with 2 stories of block every day of the week if I'm doing that. If I'm buying a colonial, I'm buying a 2-story that's made of block. So that's my rant. Done with that for the day. And I agree with you, David. I think that the construction standards are incredible. To be able to try to keep roofs on a house when winds are blowing, 50, 60, 80 miles an hour on a normal, like it's not abnormal for us to have 50-mile-an-hour winds here, especially during storm season, right, ladies?
Mm-hmm.
You can get some pretty gnarly winds. So to see that is definitely incredible. So I hope y'all got value. Ladies, thank you so much for your diligence and doing the research and sharing with the community. And y'all, if you are watching and you need anything from us, you know how to track us down. Do not hesitate to smash that like button. We would appreciate that. Give Marcia and Stacy a shout out because they're the ones doing the real work around here. I just show up on camera. I put a smile on my face and then go out and document the communities. These women are doing the real work. Let's be honest. All right. Just like most households I have a boss, trust me. She's the boss. That's what I tell everybody. So with that, we will leave you. We had a wonderful evening sharing with y'all. And until next time, Marcia, what's the line?
Go out and live that Tampa life.
Amen. All right. We'll catch you on the flip side, y'all. Have a great night.